Joining us now, Angela Rye. She's the host of Native Land podcast. Also with us, Charlemagne the God, a co-host of the popular iHeartRadio show, The Breakfast Club. Also the author of the new book, Get Honest or Die Lying, Why Small Talk Sucks. There it is. There it is. Everybody run out and get it. Angela, already conservatives are making comments aimed at Vice President Kamala Harris's race. Listen to what Republican Congressman Tim Burchett told CNN today.
Biden said, first off, he said he's going to hire a black female for vice president, and that he just skipped over. What about white females? What about any other group? When you go down that route, you take mediocrity, and that's what they have right now as a vice president.
So are you suggesting she was a DEI hire?
100%. She was a DEI hire.
Angela, what's your reaction to that?
My reaction to that is DEI didn't earn it unless you're talking about legacy admissions and some of the trust funds that many of those members of Congress have. What you have in Kamala Harris is someone who was not only a county prosecutor, a state attorney general for California, a statewide elected United States senator, and now the vice president. I don't know about you, Jake, but for the track record for most of our vice presidents, she's pretty much on par. So I would argue that it is, in fact, not mediocre. What is showing in this clip is this man's racism. It's very clear that he has compared blackness with mediocrity, when many of our folks in our community know that we have to be twice as good and 3 times as qualified, and that is what you have in Kamala Harris.
Charlemagne, what's your response when you hear white Republican congressman referring to Vice President Harris as a DEI hire?
I would say MAGA has a lot of DEI hires too. You know, conservatives have a lot of DEI hires, but DEI stands for delusion, entitlement, and idiocracy. Because they're delusional because they think Donald Trump is their savior. They're entitled because they're a bunch of privileged white men who want everybody else to stay in their place. And the idiocracy comes into play because that's the movie the RNC convention reminded me of the other night.
Classic film by Mike Judge. You previously, Charlemagne, called both Joe Biden and Donald Trump trash candidates, and you said you would vote in this election, but you would not endorse Biden. Now that he's out, do you think you might endorse Vice President Kamala Harris should she get the nomination?
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely would endorse Vice President Kamala Harris. You know, I supported Kamala Harris in 2020 when she ran for president. You know, I was out there on the campaign trail with her. She was the only reason that I voted for the Biden-Harris ticket to begin with. And, we have our, disagreements on air and off air. But I think that, she is the perfect person, to be to fight in these unprecedented times right now. So
Angela,
yes,
Angela,
I would absolutely support her.
Angela, what do you make of Donald Trump saying that he is building support among black voters?
I don't. I make the same thing out of it that exists. It's absolutely nothing. It's a nothing burger. Donald Trump does not have a tremendous track record with black people. I think many of us can see through the lies, the parallels that he's trying to make with his, entanglements with the system are not real. There are black folks who are struggling to make and pay legal bills every day, struggling to figure out how they're going to raise bail money. Meanwhile, in Georgia, Governor Kemp signed a bill into law that would prevent organizations that help people make bail. He prevented that. That is Donald Trump's, someone who's just like Donald Trump. It's Donald Trump's legacy playing out in states. When you look at what Project 2025 is all about, we know that most of those policies will hit us harder than anywhere else. When you look at what the Supreme Court has done with the 3 appointments from Donald Trump, we know that those policies are impacting us more than anyone else. So in our community, folks don't get immunity, right? He's offering immunity for police, for law enforcement, and he has immunity himself. That's something that we don't ever have. In fact, we are guilty until proven innocent in our community. So there's no there. I think that at best, he gets 16% of the black vote, and I think even that's a stretch.
Angela, Vice President Harris's advisors say that her campaign is going to lean heavily into the choice between her as a prosecutor and Donald Trump as a convicted felon. Do you think that's wise? Is that what voters want, a prosecutor?
I think there's never been a time where voters would want a prosecutor more. You have someone who has a proven track record, again, as a prosecutor, as a state's attorney, as an attorney general, rather, and she has demonstrated that she knows how to prosecute cases against the most corrupt among us. And I think Donald Trump is absolutely that. We're talking about someone with 88 indictments, well, less the case that was just thrown out by his appointed judge. But Donald Trump is someone who needs to face his record. His record is filled with criminality long before he went through the White House doors. And I think that that needs to be tried. It has not been adequately tried. I'm eager to see if there will be a debate between the two of them. But her campaign, I think, wrote out yesterday demonstrating that contrast. And I think that's exactly where they have to stay, in addition to demonstrating how it will be a win for voters to vote for Kamala Harris. So they need to know what they're voting against, certainly, but also what they're getting in voting for her.
And Charlamagne, in your new book, you write,
And Jake, I don't even know if that's the right question. You know, people, asking if America's ready for a prosecutor. I mean, is America ready for, somebody with all of the criminal charges that Donald Trump has?
Right.
I mean, in most jobs, most convicted felons can't even, get those kind of jobs that Donald Trump is currently campaigning for.
They have to check
They
the
barely
box.
can get jobs at McDonald's. They barely can get jobs at McDonald's and Walmart. So it's weird. It's weird to have to say, is America ready for a prosecutor? No, is America ready to elect a criminal?